And I would like just to know how did you met Courtney and what was your reaction, the first reaction when you read the script?
Well, first I tell you a little story of how I met her.
Yeah.
I was at one event for the film 21 Grams prior to its release, and James Seamus was present with his wife along, and I meet his wife in the ladies' room. And I say, you know, this screening you'll have in your little town in upstate New York outside of the city, I live very close. Perhaps James will invite me along. She goes and tells her husband the way a good wife does, and I arrive at the event there in upstate New York, and an after party afterwards, and this one big blue-eyed, curly-haired, blonde girl. She's actually a grown-up woman, but she has a girlish quality when you first meet her. Comes up and starts to talk to me. She seems like she really knows what she's talking about, and would I be interested in taking a look at some of her work and possibly working with her? So will you show me what you have? I'd love to look at it. And in the car ride home, her husband, just as James's wife had, says, show her Frozen River. So she goes, oh, Frozen River was a idea she had been working on at that point 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
It was one script and then another script. Then what she showed to me was a short.
Yeah, because
maybe 20 pages.
Yeah.
And my character had no name, was called the Blonde. Misty Upham's character, Misty Upham played her in the film, in the short as well, was the Mohawk. So we and this same couple that plays the Pakistani couple in our feature went to the place in upstate New York, way upstate New York now, much further from where we live. And on this place near Messina, New York, where an Indian reservation is on the bank of the south and the north side in Canada of the St. Lawrence River. And so there is a place that the natives feel remains their own, for their own ways. We shot the short there. Courtney went and edited it together and sends me a copy of the edited film. I say, oh, this is a very good short, Courtney. You've done a fine job. I thought you had when we worked. Well, would you like to make a feature? So the first I've heard of it. Show me the script, I say, because by then I loved Ray Eddy, even though I didn't know her name. She had been such a joy to play and so wonderful to work with Misty. And then I spent the next 3 years with the script on a shelf in my house. Every few months, call Courtney up and say, are we going to make the movie? And she was looking all the while for the funding. Studios said, you have a very good script. No, we won't make your movie. Perhaps with another actress. She said, perhaps not. Bless her heart. And eventually, privately, they raised the funds, and I was shooting in South Africa, actually, when I got the news that we would be going very soon, very quickly after, up to Plattsburgh, New York. I have not, throughout all my more than 25 years working, I have not said, oh, I like to play this woman and not that woman, or I like to play that woman and not this woman. I take what comes to me, right? And as I say, even from the short, there was something, perhaps her strength, that really I loved Ray. And what I mean by that is I loved being her. There's a lot of Ray that I personally disagree with. She's a very narrow-minded woman. I didn't choose to be an open-minded human being, but I was brought up by open-minded human beings. So I think there is something in really a pleasure for me to portray someone who has both better qualities and lesser qualities. What I do is my work. I earn my money doing it. It is my pleasure. I get my joy from it. It is my religion, because spiritually I feel that the ancient art of acting is a healing art, that is not a luxury, but a necessity for people to see themselves reflected, to learn, and perhaps make a choice in this life to be the best of themselves. And Ray is absolutely a character like that.
What do you think about the situation in America? And you know, the movie is describing something very, very hard about the reality actually in America. Do you think it will be? How do you think it will evolve?
I think that it's extraordinarily important. I travel all around the United States, and now I'm lucky enough, because of Frozen River, to be traveling all around the world with it. So I would go so far as to say it's all the world, but you're asking me the United States. And in the United States, there are communities. The big cities are one thing, full of so many different kind of people. In the smaller communities, in a small city or even in a small town, there is the very wealthy that sort of orchestrate things in the town. There is the very, very poor and disenfranchised, and there is the alternative community. In every community I go to. And so what I love about Frozen River is that very few people in the United States know this story. Was even one woman in a New York City screening who said, but people don't live like that in the United States. And most of the house, and me and my director went, well, yes, they do, all over the country. So to show not only to those that have, that we have not in our country, but to show the have not, that they are not alone. So perhaps we can be pulled together, which perhaps our most recent election is a sign that the people are ready for, you know? So the other issue that is clearly so integral a part of the film is this notion of immigration, a very hot topic. I am the ancestor of immigrants. Not so long ago in the history of mankind, 400 years at most. My people probably came to the United States maybe 300 years ago, maybe even 350 years ago. Very early on. I'm an American mutt. But I am the daughter of people from another place who, as the movie gives some people, again in the United States, that have no idea that there still are these people who are the Americans, whose home, whose mother, in fact, we walk on. So I think it's interesting that it brings a discussion about immigration, and I get one chance to say to the American people, to the world, we need to stop and remember that this is what America is. And the arduous hardship that my ancestors and the other whites in the country, the blacks in the country, the arduous journey that it took to get to be in America, that's the American story. That's what it is to be American.
Yeah, sure.
So,
did you discuss a lot with the director about this subject? And did you need to be
no,
you know,
no. These are Melissa's thoughts after the fact. Now I've seen the movie 10, 15 times. I've talked with people about it. I've thought about it. My co-star Misty Upham and I have become very close friends. I have found out appalling realities for her people, the Blackfeet Indians, and for all the natives of America. Appalling realities. Treated in ways that are unconstitutional and downright illegal. And no one knows. And no one says, not the Indians, not the whites, no one says. Is maybe every once in a while someone like John Trudell comes along and tries to speak the truth. And then he's shoved off back in a corner again. After the fact, I see all this relevance for the world today of the film. No. When I worked, I was simply to be Ray Eddy.
Okay.
Ray Eddy does not know these things. She does not think about these things. She doesn't care about these things.
Yeah.
She'd like to feed her children, please. Courtney's script was so carefully researched. She had both researched the white characters that live up there in the trailers, like Ray Eddy's trailer, a lot by observing them sitting in one parking lot while her baby napped beside her and she watched the women come and go from the dollar store. And also a segue into the Mohawk community she made, which was an amazing sort of research and way in which she did her research. Very upfront with the Mohawks. Here's my script. I'd be interested in working here. If you have anything to say to me about what you think, tell me. And made an amazing and unusual, unique liaison with the Mohawk people. Not all of them, because they have very differing opinions within the one tribe. And so all I had to do was to read Courtney's script. It was a rare and unusual, beautifully written, complete script with all the information there on the page. I bring to it as an actor my experience on film sets. I bring to it as a human being my experience through life. I raised my son alone. My son is not so much a part of Ray Eddy's motherhood, more my own mother, single when my father left, and my brother taking onto his shoulders the responsibility of the family. My son was more like the little son. I protected him from having to be the man of the house.
So now, what do you want to make? What do you want to participate in movies? Do you want to make something like this, with this energy, with this thing?
Well, I just saw last night Gloss.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
I would like to work with this director.
Yeah, you want
Number one, first and foremost, as soon as I can learn to pronounce Andre's last name, I would like to go to Russia and work with him. It's first in my mind this morning.
In movies, and you are
never. I never ever see. I don't go see movies, and so I'm very affected. You see, as we talk, I get excited about, very affected by what, and so I keep myself somewhat within a bubble. I don't watch much. I don't watch the news. I don't watch other films. I don't, so don't have. But I just happened to be at the event to see the film. I heard Russian director. I have great love of Russia from my acting teacher, Joan Potter, who instilled in my heart Chekhov as a mainstay for an actor to know and understand. I've worked with Oleg Tabakov in a workshop at the Actors Studio. A blessed 2 weeks of my life to work with that great Russian on Chekhov. So this notion of going around the world and working interests me greatly. I am stymied by my language. I think I could learn at least partially something to be able to work in some other language. And that interests me enormously. I think that it's the future of film, locally made, worldwide distributed films of a moderate size, right? I have one romance going on with Hollywood for the first time in 25 years as an actor, and I will romance them. As long as they are romancing me, I will hold up my end of the romance. It's fun, it's interesting, it's fascinating, and if I am invited in, I would get more choice in my work, and that would be delightful as I get to be a more grown-up actress. So I have also 2 scripts, one in which I would play Betty Davis, opposite someone playing Joan Crawford. I'm looking for a director for a beautiful script I have about them while they shot Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Beautiful, amazing script about, in the end, not just them making it, but what it is to be a female actor. Beautiful script. And there's also one woman who maybe you know, because I know in France there are statues of her, as there are in New York and in London. In the Beaux-Arts there was America's first top model, Audrey Munson. And she modeled for maybe from 15 to 20-something years old, and was in an institution till she was 107 years old when she finally died. I would like to make her life story, not unlike La Vie en Rose, where to play her throughout her transitions. This is my dream.
Oh yeah, beautiful dreams.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.